morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for having us here. It's a real pleasure and privilege to meet you this morning and try to learn more about the person behind the company and also about the company by and large. So to start with, sir, we wanted to just help us to know a little about the backstory, the person before starting the company, life as a teenager, the place that you grew up, your family values.
I think it's better to start with today's status and then go backward.
Absolutely fine. Please, feel free, sir.
So I'm Senthil Kumar. I'm the chairman of B.K.S. Textiles Private Limited. Our company is into exports of made-ups and fabrics. This company was started in 1983 as a proprietary concern. And later on, this company was converted into private limited since 2004. See, when I started in 1983, at that time, our business was concentrating on facilitating the sales of handloom products. Not just handlooms, it's called khadi. There's hand woven, hand spun and hand woven fabrics.
Right. That was the beginning.
See, those days the employment was the major requirement for any government.
Right.
So the government wanted to promote hand woven and handloom products,
Right.
because that was providing large scale employment to many rural population. And then I got into the business. Then after that I slowly moved on to power looms. Power looms are the higher version of hand looms.
Right.
So I started manufacturing contract basis power loom fabrics.
Right.
Then I was conducting domestic sales.
Okay.
Mainly the products were sold to Mumbai, Ahmedabad,
Right.
Jaipur,
Okay.
those places.
Right.
Because most of the process houses were existing there only. The market was there.
Okay.
There, those places were, competent enough in processing,
Mm-hmm.
printing and dyeing. So that's the reason they were the large buyers of grey. Even today they are buying a lot
Okay.
from this place,
Okay.
particularly the power loom fabrics.
Right.
So when I was doing my domestic sale of power loom fabrics, I thought why not we export.
Okay.
So then, the first requirement if somebody wants to export the grey fabric means quality consistency.
Okay.
Quality is the prerequisite for the simple reason being, our grey products were converted into dyed and printed fabrics in countries like Europe.
Okay.
The cost of labor in countries like Europe, for which the fabric is defect, not only the product is lost, but also the labor, which is a huge chunk of the value addition. It's also a big loss. So then we will end up in a big claim.
Okay.
So that was the reason we have to be very specific in terms of quality, service and price also. So 1987 my first export was started to UK. So from then onwards, then many customers, importers and process house people in Europe, they started buying from us. The business was growing as a grey exporter. The things were smooth, I would say, until 2000. In 2000, what happened, the European countries where we were selling our grey fabrics, those process houses were closed. because they felt that they were not competitive at that point of time.
Right.
Because China was giving at
Tough competition.
very low prices, even ready to wear apparels and also fabrics.
Okay.
So then most of the plants in Europe closed and they stopped buying the grey fabric. Previously, there was an agreement like ATC, just Agreement on Textile and Clothing, which was prevailing up to 2005.
Right.
So, as per the agreement, the European countries have to buy certain amount of goods from India.
Okay.
There is a quota restriction
Okay.
for all countries, including China, Pakistan.
Right.
So this arrangement was prevailing up to 2005, and at that point of time, the competition was not that much because the importer doesn't have much options. So he has to purchase either from China or from India. So that was helping us a lot for the growth of our grey exports.
Right.
In 2005, the agreement on textile and clothing was no more existing. Then it became free trade.
Okay.
Free trade means each country can import whatever the quantity they want,
From wherever.
wherever they want.
Okay.
So then we have to fight with the competition.
Right.
Same time, there were no process houses existing in those countries. We were exporting to almost more than 20 countries at that point of time. Then we thought it is better to change our product profile.
Okay.
We thought it is time to go to ready-to-wear products.
Right.
Then we choose made-ups.
Okay.
It's better to. Then slowly that is how the made-up export started.
Right.
Then we were also started exporting fabric ready to cut. Instead of grey fabric, processed, dyed and printed bleached fabrics we started exporting.
Okay.
So today we are around 150 crores total sales, annual sales.
Right.
I would say 90% is exported.
I see. Okay. That's your major focus now.
Major focus, yeah.
Right.
So during this, this 30 years, I would say 83, and now we are in 2018. It's about 35 years. I have seen a lot of ups and downs.
Right.
Many government policies which were favorable and which were not favorable, and the changes in the international scenario. So one incident I would remember, I was before 1987, I was supplying grey fabrics to a merchant exporter based out of Mumbai. So he bought from us and he exports as it is to the United States, UK or wherever it may, because he was holding the quota.
Okay.
All of a sudden, the US government has imposed ban on import of that particular fabric. Though there was before that it was quota free. Quota was not existing for all the products. Some products were left free because they thought it's not going to be, the quantity is not going to be much. And in those cases they will say that, okay, you export as much as you can.
Right.
I think I remember it's 1986. So I have invested all my money in the production. About 500,000 meters I was having stock. All of a sudden this embargo came into existence. But we do not know what had happened because we are not aware of what is US, what is quota. We do not know anything.
Okay, because you are using
it's through merchant
trader.
trader is buying from us and he exports, and The product was made
Mm.
as per the specifications given by
Okay.
the exporter.
Right.
So I cannot sell the product in domestic market also because
Mm.
it's some special product.
Right. Right.
So about 500,000 meters were struck up, and then I tried to talk to him. Went to Mumbai and stayed there for a week. Then I tried to meet him, but he was not ready to meet me.
Okay. Okay. The tough
So
scenario.
that- Tough scenario. That was the trigger for me. That why I should rely on this guy.
Right.
Why not I export directly?
Right. Right. Okay.
And then we started exploring the direct export
Direct channels.
options. Yeah.
Right.
Then I was successful in 1987
Okay.
after 1 or 2 years.
Okay.
So that is how the export journey started.
Nice. Nice.
As of now, we are recipients of many awards from Textile for highest exports of particular products.
When the market cap is relaxed.
It became free trade. Then I started involving myself in many industry associations, like Pedexel, particularly Pedexel, because I was into power looms. Then when I started involving myself, I had opportunity to meet many higher officials and ministers in Delhi and local. One of the secretary, I think I remember it's in 2005. One of the secretary in Delhi, he visited Tiruppur, and he wanted me. These power loom people will die if we don't do something, because they don't bother about quality, and they don't produce what the market wants. They don't know what to produce
Right.
and how to produce. So we have to do something for the industry. That's what
Okay.
he conveyed to me.
Okay.
And he wanted me to give my opinion how to take this industry
Right.
to a new level.
Okay.
See, if you look at those days, the power looms were not modernized.
Okay.
Ordinary shuttle looms,
Right. This is 2005 that year.
before
Right.
2005.
Right.
Actually, this power loom technology was invented by British people,
Right.
invented and introduced to India by British people. When they had to close their plants in the UK,
Okay.
all those looms have come into India,
Uh-huh.
and those looms were installed in big mills like Mumbai.
Okay. Oh.
Those days there was a licensing procedures. That means if I want to install power looms, I have to get license from the Textile Commissioner.
Okay.
That was the scenario. And with the free market, if the sector is not capable to meet the quality requirement, see, free trade means it is not just only for exports, it's also for imports.
Right.
That means India has also to open up its market gradually.
Right. Right.
That's what is happening now. We are getting a lot of stuff from China, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, because they are our neighbors.
Right.
The government has some political compulsions to import from those countries.
Right.
The name of the secretary is Mr. Mahapatra.
Right.
The secretary means cabinet secretary. He is
Right.
union secretary. He is next only to the minister. And he is the policy making. So he came to Tiruppur for some function, and Dr. Senthil, he has conveyed his apprehension also.
Okay.
That you people have done very well in knitting,
Right.
but nothing is happening in power looms.
Okay.
And he was mentioning to Dr. Shaktivel, and then Dr. Shaktivel introduced me to him.
Right.
That is how we got into
Right.
contact.
Right.
So the importance of this industry is, first of all, power loom industry is fragmented nature, but it is most of the industry is in rural area.
Right.
So it's a life for many people. Because the scanty rains, so even in today, if you go to rural places, you can see a power loom weaver operating 12 looms, minimum looms. So it is economically, it's a most important thing for the country.
Okay, to stabilize.
To stabilize, to sustain the employment.
Right, right.
So the sustaining of employment depending on how you market your product.
Absolutely.
And the marketing of the product depends on how you produce.
Correct.
It's the product must be acceptable to the customers.
Right.
Or you don't know because the floor was open for
Others to also
compete.
Yeah.
Competition. So to prepare this sector from the global competition, we have after several discussions with many stakeholders and government officials, then we have submitted a proposal that cluster approach.
Right.
For example, Paladam is a power loom cluster. Here we have around 1.5 lakh power looms.
Right.
All these looms are, as I told you, 100 years old technology and British region technology. So unless we upgrade,
you can't compete with
we cannot
the required.
update the existing machines,
Right.
technology upgradation of existing machines, and totally adopt for a new technology, latest technology.
Right.
So we have given suggestion to the government. All the power loom people cannot afford to change the technology overnight within 4 years or 5 years. It's impossible. It's going to be impossible. So provide some assistance by way of R&D and to improve the quality.
Right.
So that is how the concept called in situ upgradation.
Right.
So government was also giving lot now 50% of the cost was shared by the government.
Okay.
So many looms have upgraded their technology. The major outcome of the upgradation was the improvement in quality. The improvement in quality means that they are still competitive and quality is improved.
Right.
They need not invest too much.
Right. Production is also
production improvement was not that much because you cannot change the machine.
Right. Right. Okay, you're only changing the technique
Changing
of
the
how
quality production.
Right. Right.
So I think in throughout India more than 10 million, I think the population of power looms could be around 2.5 million. So, but out of that 50% of the looms migrated to the
Newer technology.
quality improvement program. Okay. Then the other area is, there are certain products, premium products, for example these shirts.
Right.
We cannot make this kind of shirts in
Handloom and
power looms, handloom and power looms we cannot make. But at the same time, we are open to the global competition. So what the consumer will expect, that whatever is the best product,
yes.
they will
He
try
needs
to
it.
buy. And imports will started pouring into India.
Right.
And Indian economy has also started growing the last 15-20 years.
Right.
So we
have
cannot
to fight.
stop there. We also have to upgrade our technology to the international level.
Right.
So that is the reason, that the concept of cluster approach, and a scheme was evolved by name, Scheme for Integrated Textile Park,
Right. Right.
by which even today the situation in weaving is the organized play, large scale investments are not coming up. Only these small weavers are ready to take the risk.
Okay.
So, but
You mean one?
for example, one weaving machine, basic weaving machine of updated technology is around 30 lakh rupees,
Okay.
which they cannot afford.
Right. Right.
So, we represented the government.
Right.
We submitted a model project. So the total cost of the project is 5 crores. Out of which 30 crores is given by government for
Entire.
under tough scheme.
Okay.
So that means a person who is investing 5 crores can get 1.5 crore from the government. And we have also negotiated with the banks like Shiddi and all,
So
just
good
like
investment.
20% margin, 15-20% margin, they were
Okay.
willing to extend
Right.
credit to those units.
Nice. Nice.
So the scheme was evolved, and the cost of construction up to 40%
Was borne by the government.
borne by the central government, and we have approached the state government also.
Okay.
At that time, Madam Jayalalitha was the chief minister, and she was also happy to extend the support to the scheme.
Nice.
And as a matter of policy, Tamil Nadu government extended 9%.
Oh. Okay.
So 49% of this
Through the central and
infrastructure,
state bodies.
common infrastructure, is borne by the central and state governments, and only 51%
Borne by the
borne by
people
the
of
investors.
Right.
So out of this 51%, they just have to invest only 11%.
Okay, the balance is coming
Balance,
through
the consortium of bankers, we have organized a long-term loan.
Excellent.
Long-term loan with very nominal interest.
Many of them,
Yeah.
you're just going to see this as a good opportunity.
Yeah. So today we have 90 plus weaving sheds there,
Okay. Okay.
and many existing power loom weavers were the part of this Part-
Initial.
part.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would say it's a very successful model.
Excellent.
Then today in India we have 86 such parts.
Wow. Okay.
So
Okay.
this was the first part to be inaugurated,
Oh, nice. Nice.
And,
This was in what year, sir?
2008.
Okay. So in about 3 years, from 2005, all
5
these
years.
discussions
Took
started
3 years
evolving in
to-
about 3 years. That's a fast turnaround,
Yeah.
having government and state and the central government involved with the large investment. Okay, okay. And you were spearheading the entire
Yeah,
project.
yeah. So since 2005 the company was incorporated.
Right, right.
And,
How was that made possible, sir? Because that definitely needs a lot of relationship building and a lot of convincing. One side you have to pull in a lot of the normal or probably the people who are operating the lower technology. We want to make them to come up to the new technology. State government, central government. So there's a lot of pressure, and also there's a lot of commitment which just comes in with being in the position. So how did you tackle? No, you're also running this company.
yeah.
You're also having day-to-day operations to manage. So,
Right.
so how did that?
Yeah, initially we had a lot of problems. Problems in the sense, those who have shown interest, they opted out
Right.
in that project, from the project.
Right.
And then we had to find a
Alternate.
new alternate investor.
Right.
A few see that once the people know that there is success in it, then people started coming. So 2-3 units they have taken risk and they have established and they were doing well, then people started coming.
Excellent. Excellent. So you have to show some model performance
Yeah.
to make them believe.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So that's why it took around 3 more years to get the unit filled.
Right.
All the 90
Right.
sheds to
Completely.
bring it in operation.
Excellent.
It took three more years.
Right, right. So that you can proudly say there's the greatest contribution to the powerloom industry by and large. Right.
Well, that was made possible because the highest man in the government, he thinks, I think his vision.
Right, right. There is a rare to find somebody like that.
Those kind of people is very difficult. He's really very socially very concerned person. He's a very nice person.
So like-minded people have just going to come together.
Yeah.
So tell us something about the market now. From 2005, we had this 2008 phase for getting up to running, and what till 2011 to have it fully operational, so that was fully functional. And then side by side, we were also expecting local competition from the company that you were just producing this export thing. So tell us how you battled out the competition which is emerging both domestic and in the international scene.
We as a country, we started very late. But China, they were fully prepared to meet the global demand.
Right.
And they established large factories, process houses, and they were dumping whatever the stuff, fabric or made-ups, to the whole market. And today the China share is around 40%.
Oh, it's gone up from 25 to 40%.
Last 2-3 years also it's going up.
Okay.
We are saying China is becoming expensive, all those things.
Yeah, that's what everybody keeps saying.
Their share is even today going up, expanding.
Okay. So it's an alarming news for us, basically. We have a lot of catch up to do. Okay. So this is happening at the scales, and before that, why did you think that India was behind, and how good China was able to just focus this much earlier and then get into expanding, get into policies, getting into having this larger shares? What is the difference between both the countries at that stage when they started looking up and we were just still laid back?
We are a democracy. That is
okay.
And their only focus is to how to generate employment. And so the schemes were aimed at, and the money was spent on those things. But China is China. Still, you see that their infrastructure, their income, we cannot compare.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, we also did much better because of the technology upgradation fund scheme was introduced, by which the machines were upgraded, the technology started coming into India.
Right.
So that was contributing for the country. But as a company, since we had established relationship, as I told you, since 1987 we were exporting, and 2005 only we were thrown into competition. So because of our relationship, then some customers wanted to develop some products for the market, and they gave us development because they know we are very good in development, new developments, or replication of what they are importing. See, it's not an easy thing. Like I choose some product and I want to sell somewhere, it's not going to happen. So my strategy was, we will try to manufacture the product what they want.
Right.
So that is how they gave us
Sort of a reverse engineering.
Reverse engineering. They gave us, okay, they will ask me, can you make this product? Then I will say, if possible, I will say yes, otherwise I will say no. Many products I have rejected because the first thing is, we should never give a promise which we cannot fulfill.
Right.
If we cannot fulfill that, it's so that's one thing.
Business is 101.
Yeah, whatever possible that we will say that yes, and then we put our heart and soul to develop this product, and then we supply exclusively to those companies only. We don't supply to everyone. So like that we have gradually developed customers, and this is how we grow. We attend some fairs and they also come there. Then we fix meetings.
Right.
That is one opportunity. Then the other opportunity once a year is some, when they get some opportunity for large volume of business, then they call us, then immediately we have to travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you like how you reverse engineered the requirement, you also reverse engineered what was the expectation from.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
So that is why we have to work closely with the customers and frank exchange of views.
Right.
That means it has to be mutually beneficial.
Right.
That is how we think the business. We don't.
Okay.
It's not we selling just one time and we wash off. It's not our strategy.
Right.
Our strategy is to build long-term relationships, and we are successful in that also.
Very nice. So now, as a company, what are the products that we are focusing on, and what markets are very important to us, and where do you see the global demand going forward, and also the local domestic market improving?
We are into made-ups, as I told you. We are into made-ups. We are mostly into home segments.
Right.
So it's called home textile also.
Okay.
You can see all these products are used everywhere,
Right.
including the hotels.
Okay.
So this is one of our line.
Right.
Then we are also manufacturing fabrics for leading brands.
Right.
Because we have a lot of experience in manufacturing fabrics.
Okay.
We do have our vertically integrated production units. Like we do have weaving, we do have processing, that's dyeing and printing. Then we do have stitching also. But we are not into garments.
Okay. So it's a conscious decision that you're not getting into that.
There is a logic in that,
Right.
I would say.
Right.
See, in the world, every country wants to protect their employment. That means now in America also Trump says that make in America.
Yeah.
And
Make
he
in
says he want to make everything in America.
They say
Same
make
thing
in
with-
India here.
Yes, like we say as make in India. So they think that why do we import shirt from India? Why not we make ourselves? They can provide employment opportunity to their people. So this mentality is everywhere I could see.
Okay.
But it is not possible for those countries to have the fabric,
Right.
because the fabric requires good raw material, not only good and voluminous raw material. Let us take it from cotton,
Okay.
then polyester fiber. So this is our major strength.
Yeah.
Then viscose also. Viscose also we are number one. Even this grassing, they have plants in Indonesia. They are dominating the global market.
Okay.
So India is fiber rich.
Okay.
Then we have the technologically and skilled people. We have
Right.
spinning.
Okay.
We have varieties. So this
that
kind
gives us
of
the edge.
it is not possible for any new country to
Adapt this. I get this.
have this
Right.
kind of this many variations.
Right.
See, what is fashion? Fashion is you always have to introduce something new.
Yeah.
Always new, that the consumer goes to the stores and he expects something new. So we have the opportunity, we have the fiber base, we have the infrastructure and technically skilled manpower in spinning and weaving. So with this infrastructure, not many countries can compete India.
Right.
Maybe China possible,
Right.
Pakistan possible.
Right. Bangladesh to an extent.
Bangladesh to an extent, and they are developing a lot.
Right.
It's possible.
Right.
But every country cannot jump that I will make from fiber to fashion. It's not possible. So that is the reason I thought
it's much
there is
healthier situation. Okay.
there will be a good demand for fabrics. So which I
stick to the strength and interesting. So where do you see the market just moving the local domestic market?
The local domestic market seems to be growing.
Right.
Because the GDP is also growing, and consumer spending behavior is also growing.
It's all healthy signs for a better market.
For better. I think there will be a demand.
Okay.
But there are some disruptions like that online sales.
Yeah.
So that is why many shops are vanishing now.
Okay.
They were not able to survive. But it's a technology disruption.
Yeah. We are
But anyway, that everybody
to embrace it.
The method of sales has undergone a change, but still the requirement is there. And India is growing with the introduction of GST. The products have become cheaper and healthy competition.
Finally, your thoughts about Textile and this event, please. The open news. Yeah.
Tex Valley, I think, is a very nice facility. It's situated in the highways. I think it's about 1.5 hours journey from the airport. It will certainly attract many customers. Moreover, it's situated in the hub of manufacturing hub, like places like Erode, Salem, Tiruppur. So there is a locational advantage. But you see that any infrastructure projects like our Palladam high-tech weaving farm will take some time to establish. It has to pass through many hurdles, like it's a change of habit.
Okay.
Like there is a weekly Mandi in Erode. So those people will not try to move.
Maybe we have to focus on the younger generation.
Younger generation and more fashion-oriented products.
Right.
And they have to try to promote brands. So I think that definitely it will come up another 2-3 years, I think.
Right.
It will be a place for textiles, I would say.
Since we touched upon the younger generation, you successfully incorporated your younger generation and very uniquely the women empowered generation into your company, where in the day and age where people have too many choices and the younger generation are thinking smart versus hard, and we're in an industry where hard work has to go on. So how did you convince them to get on support to you, sir?
I didn't convince them. See, I give freedom to both always. See, they can choose what they think better for their career.
Right.
So my elder daughter Sangeeta is a textile engineer. So she decided to be continuing this business.
Nice. Okay, there was no compulsion from your
no
side, or
compulsion.
probably you have
No
not paid
compulsion.
way for. Oh, nice.
It was only an option.
Okay.
And she chose to be a textile engineer, and she continued. My younger daughter, she thought it's better why both of should be in the same line. I would prefer to go some other line.
Right.
She wanted to pursue into medicine.
Right.
Then after some time, she also thought,
Coming closer to the family business
it's
is
better to
nice.
be in the family business. So she also chose to be here.
Excellent.
And so both of them are.
So you're getting good support,
Yeah.
and also you're tackling the new competition through fresher and younger.
They are tackling. I am not tackling.
Okay, nice. Okay, okay. You know, you passed on that.
Now I am almost retired now.
I see. Okay, okay.
So they are the runners of this business now.
Okay.
They both managing very well. And they have all the talents required to continue with this business. And they are doing extremely well. I am happy.
Right. So you groomed well, and also they would have just saw you growing in the industry and fighting it, all these things. So they were taking real lessons within the industry. Right. So what do you think this new generation, by and large, to the ecosystem, or the fresh people coming into the industry, how does the landscape change? Or what new energy? What is this new energy you think that will bring into the industry?
I think there is going to be a lot of changes in terms of production. The way we produce today, it may not exist for long.
Right.
So with
The
the
landscape's gonna
technology like artificial intelligence, so those things will increase the competition.
Right.
Because today see that textile industry is one of the largest employment provider in the country. And the automation is in a very faster space.
Right.
So those things will be there in the next 10 years, I think. 10 or
Then
15
the
years.
landscape's going to change.
And we have to equip ourselves.
Right. So for that, you think this energy is essential?
Yeah.
Great.
See, the challenge is if you have to set up a vertically integrated textile unit, the capital requirement is very high. So that is why many people are not coming. Secondly, you need to be innovative always. It's not like commodity, you produce something and you keep on dispatching every day. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So you have to think always something innovative. I mean, the production methods are changing. The fashion is changing quickly. So that youngsters who are taking interest in learning all those things, that you have to be competitive, you have to be updated with the fashion, and one has to be financially viable also. All these things are required. So I think by going forward, they will acquire what is required today, that what was existing before 10 years is not existing today. Like that we will become.
Excellent. That's what your forecast and your confidence.
Textile industry will remain because India is a very big population, 130 crores. So domestic industry will grow. As far as export is concerned, there is a lot of uncertainties now.
Okay. Because of
The way the American president is behaving, so a lot of trade distortions. So that's why the exchange fluctuation. We really do not know what is going to happen.
right. So it's become very agile.
Yeah, that is why the dependency on export to a particular market. So that's why we are expanding our markets.
Okay.
It's not just America or UK.
Right. To make it little more spread across, so that there is a consistency and there is enough market space.
Even if you have problem in one or two markets,
Yeah, you can
still
shift.
survive.
Yeah.
That is our strategy.
Excellent. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for your time. It's a real pleasure knowing the journey of your textile experience and your contribution to the industry. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.